Welcome to the deep dive.
Glad to be here.
So for this deep dive, we're taking a look at Psalm 139.
From the New Living Translation.
Right. And this one comes right from you, the listener.
You wanted us to unpack it.
Yeah, I think it's a really powerful piece of writing, right?
Oh, absolutely. It gets to some pretty fundamental questions.
Really fundamental. So, Psalm 139, it's attributed to David.
Addressed to the Lord.
Exactly. And it's all about, being known.
Seen. Relating to something way bigger than ourselves.
Right, exactly. So let's just jump right in, huh?
Sound good?
Okay, so verses 1 through 6, that's where we're starting. And that very first line, oh man, oh Lord, you have examined my heart and know everything about me.
It's not just like God's watching what you're doing.
It's much deeper than that.
Yeah, it's this deep internal awareness right from the start.
And it goes on in verse 2, like, when I sit down or stand up.
You know my thoughts even when I'm far away.
Whoa. So my inner world, my thoughts, even before I say them out loud.
Someone else knows them.
God knows them.
Yeah?
And then in verse 3, it talks about God seeing David's travels, his rest, knowing everything he does. It's constant.
Complete awareness.
I mean, it's almost like being completely transparent.
Right, which could feel kind of scary.
Vulnerable.
But also maybe secure.
Yeah, there's a tension there
For sure. And then verse 4, you know what I'm going to say even before I say it, oh Lord? That's next level.
And he's not saying it like it's a bad thing.
No, it's part of this knowing, this understanding.
Right. Okay, so verse 5, things get really interesting here for you, the listener. It describes God going before and following David, placing a hand of blessing.
So it's not just knowledge, it's active.
Engagement.
Support.
Surrounding him. Imagine
Being enveloped.
by this presence.
Yeah.
That's guiding you, protecting you. That's gotta feel pretty good, pretty safe.
Yeah, powerful image. And then David's reaction, verse 6. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too great for me to understand.
He just gets it.
That we can't fully grasp it.
This all-encompassing awareness. So for you listening, what's stronger? The feeling of being completely known or the sense of security in that?
Something to think about. And that leads us right into verses 7 through 12. God's omnipresence.
The fact that you can't escape from it.
From God's spirit, from God's presence.
Yeah, and David says it so clearly. Verse 7, I can never escape from your spirit. I can never get away from your presence. No question about it.
A declaration.
And then he goes on to use these really vivid images.
Highest heavens, depths of the grave. Sheol.
Place of the dead.
But God is there. No limits.
Think about it. The peak of the heavens to the deepest parts of the earth. And still, verse 10, God's hand is there to guide, to hold him fast.
It doesn't matter how far you feel, what situation you're in, that presence is constant. Think of it like your phone, always connected to the network no matter where you are.
You're always in range.
God's range.
And then he goes on to talk about hiding in darkness, verses 11 and 12. Even if he asks the darkness to conceal him.
It won't work.
But even in darkness, I cannot hide from you. To you, the night shines as bright as day. Darkness and light are the same to you. It's everywhere.
Pervasive, no escaping it. Not even the shadows. So think about that for a second. Literally nowhere you can go, no circumstance, you're always within this.
Sphere of presence. It really changes how you think about being alone, about being connected to something bigger.
For sure. And from there, verses 13 through 16, we shift gears a little. God's role in creation.
Specifically, the creation of humanity.
Yeah, and it gets really personal here. David talks about his own body. You made all the delicate inner parts of my body and knit me together in my mother's womb.
It's intimate, vulnerable.
And then there's this outburst of gratitude.
Yeah.
Thank you for making me so wonderfully complex. Your workmanship is marvelous, how well I know it. Verse 14.
He's in awe.
Of the design, the complexity. He really gets it. So for you listening, think about that. The inherent value, the intricate design, in your very being.
And the way he describes this process, being formed in utter seclusion, woven together in the dark of the womb, verses 15 and 16. It's hidden.
Orchestrated.
Beyond our understanding. And then he says, you saw me before I was born. Every day of my life was recorded in your book. Every moment was laid out before a single day had passed. A predetermined life.
A huge idea.
Yeah.
And it's been looked at from so many different angles.
Yeah.
Some traditions emphasize God's total control. Others focus on human choice within God's plan. But whatever your take, the core idea for you is this.
Yeah.
Your life has inherent value.
And purpose.
From the very beginning. You're not an accident. You're part of something.
So sit with that for a minute. Your life, every moment, somehow known, intended, before you even came into being.
It's a lot to take in.
Okay, so from this idea of creation, of being known, the psalm takes a turn in verses 17 through 22. We move into God's thoughts and David's feelings about, well, the wicked.
The tone shifts.
For sure. So first, verse 17, David is talking about God's thoughts towards him. How precious are your thoughts about me, O God? They cannot be numbered. He's overwhelmed.
He even compares them to grains of sand. Verse 18, countless, constant, this divine attention focused on him.
And then he says, and when I wake up, you are still with me. That presence, that care, it never ends.
Never ending.
But then, bam, things change. Verse 19, David wants God to deal with the wicked, the people who oppose God.
Murderers, those who misuse God's name.
And it gets intense. Verses 21 and 22. Shouldn't I hate those who hate you, Lord? Shouldn't I despise those who oppose you? Yes, I hate them with total hatred, for your enemies are my enemies.
Yeah, this can be a tough one for people today.
Absolutely. But we have to remember the context. This was a different time, a different culture.
For David, faith was everything.
Yeah.
And these people were a threat.
To his faith, to justice.
It was personal.
And this language, it's righteous anger. Against injustice, against what he saw as disrespect for God. It's a black and white worldview. We don't have to agree with it.
But we need to understand it.
As part of the song.
Right, the whole picture.
And it's this contrast, right? This total hatred next to the intimate love we talked about earlier. It's complicated.
That's what makes it so interesting.
Okay, so last couple of verses, 23 and 24. David gets really vulnerable.
He makes a plea.
Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. He's asking for something.
He knows God already knows him, but he wants more.
He wants God to dig deep, find the flaws, the wrong paths. Is there any offensive way in me, he asks.
Lead me the right way, along the path of everlasting life.
That's courage right there, to ask for that kind of scrutiny.
It shows trust, willingness to face his own imperfections.
So for you, the listener, think about that. Self-reflection. How much courage does it take to really look at yourself?
It's not easy.
Okay, so to sum up this whole deep dive into Psalm 139, we've covered a lot.
God's complete knowledge of us.
His presence everywhere, the way he created us, the sheer number of his thoughts towards us, and our response to that.
Devotion, anger, asking for guidance, it's all in there.
And it weaves together the huge, like the divine attributes with the personal.
Individual and the divine, known and challenged.
So to end on a question, how does all this resonate with you, with your own beliefs? What questions does this deep dive bring up for you? We hope this has given you a new way to look at this powerful song.
We've just scratched the surface.
There's so much more to explore.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for being here.